This is Eve. She's definitely one of the most talked about video game characters this year. Why? You know it if you have played Stellar Blade. The design, the combat, the music, it all stands out. But what about her personality? At first glance, Eve seems flat, almost absent. But is she really? Or is there something deeper at play here? Let's dive into her story and find out together. First of all, what kind of woman is Eve? Well, she is hot, for sure. According to Jean Park, a Korean-American journalist of the Washington Post, Eve is a woman born from South Korea's culture and philosophy, a Korean-coded character defined by a narrow definition of beauty relative to that country. Basically, he says that in South Korea, conventional beauty is an aspiration, an ideal, a destination above all else. Want a good career? It'll come with good looks. Applying for a job? You might be required to submit a headshot first. Advertisements for plastic surgery are everywhere and are not subtle about what's ugly. And this is why, according to him, Eve is a woman born from South Korea's culture and philosophy. But what about her personality? Eve has been criticized as a beautiful, empty shell, described as bland, but there is much more. Two elements have to be taken into consideration. The first being the cultural inspiration for the story. It is no mystery that the creators have been inspired by the creation myth in Christian ideology, especially in the characters of Adam and Eve. But I think there is another element that makes her appear bland, which we have seen portrayed in many other games like Max Payne, Hellblade, or The Last of Us Part 2. Imagine this situation. You crash land on Earth and are immediately thrust into chaos. Your entire squad is slaughtered before your eyes. You witness the brutal murder and butchering of the only survivor in order to save you. Imagine that, witnessing such horrors right at the start. No one could be mentally prepared for such a battle, especially not Eve. She was already injured, vulnerable both physically and emotionally. And then she loses everyone she knows and cares about. Adam saves her, and now Eve feels compelled to help him, alone. She doesn't want to lose another person. Her mission transforms. It's not just about the battle anymore, but about accepting what happened and realizing it's not her fault. According to Taki, she's never been in real combat, only training simulations. But in her first real battle, she loses her squad. Here's where things get interesting. On my second playthrough, something dawned on me. When Eve drops into her first battle, she's brimming with emotion, fear, panic, despair, all the feelings you'd expect from someone in such a dire situation. At one point, she's so overwhelmed she goes into shock, needing to be dragged forward by Taki. Then Taki dies. After that, Eve's emotions seem to shut off. She becomes almost robotic, like a doll. But what if there's a reason for this? Have you ever heard of PTSD? Post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental and behavioral disorder that develops from experiencing traumatic events like warfare. Eve's first combat experience was witnessing her squad's death and the murder of someone she trusted. No wonder she seems numb after that. She's in shock, and it's not like she gets a break to process any of it. She's thrown back into the fray to finish the mission, alone. A few moments of fishing won't erase that kind of trauma. So, Eve does what she has to do, which can be divided into 3 moments. First, she focuses on the mission, shutting down emotionally, suppressing her sense of self, and moving forward robotically. Trauma shatters the seamless progression of time, leaving her stranded in a perpetual present, unable to fully engage with her past or envision a future. Stolaro's interpretation of traumatic temporality aligns with this. Trauma creates a tunnel vision, narrowing one's experiential horizon to exclude the intolerable. This brings to mind Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, who taught that detachment from intense emotions helps maintain inner peace. But Eve's detachment shows the darker side of this philosophy. Taken to the extreme, it leads to emotional numbness and a loss of humanity. Second, around the time of the orbital elevator, she begins to process her experiences. Given everything she's been through, that's incredible mental resilience. Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." Eve's journey is a testament to this. She begins to reconnect with her emotions and finds new purpose beyond her trauma. Third, Eve, bland by design, an obvious metaphor for the creation myth, gains personhood through the forbidden fruit of knowledge. In fact, this concept is woven directly into the narrative design, as one of the game's multiple endings depends on the amount of knowledge Eve gains through reading books and interacting with other humans. Nietzsche's concept of amor fati, or love of fate, suggests we should embrace all aspects of our life, including suffering. Eve's gradual acceptance and processing of her trauma beautifully illustrate this idea. Like the story, it's simple stuff, but effective and clear. Eve's story also highlights the importance of relationships. Trauma often isolates, but connecting with others can bridge the chasm it creates. Eve's bond with Adam and her eventual emotional awakening demonstrate the healing power of connection and empathy, and I found this interesting because it has big therapeutic potential. In an age in which video games are always criticized for being sexist, violent, and miseducative, a recent study has found that video games can play a significant role in helping individuals recover from mental health challenges, including PTSD. The study, which focused on war veterans, concluded that video games could help overcome issues like PTSD and substance abuse disorders. For many veterans, video games provide a way to escape overwhelming symptoms, including suicidal thoughts and urges for substance use. This brings a new perspective to Eve's journey. The immersive nature of video games can promote mindfulness, social connection, and personal growth, all of which are crucial for recovery. The therapeutic potential of video games lies in their ability to offer a safe space for individuals to process their experiences. Just as Eve navigates her traumatic past through the game's narrative, veterans find solace and distraction in gameplay, which can help them manage moods, relieve stress, and foster social connections. All in all, Eve doesn't make the strongest first impression, but she leaves a lasting one. More importantly, she actually carves out her own distinguished identity by the end, much like the entire game. Over the years, there's been critical discussion about how cyberpunk fiction is rooted in xenophobic fears and that the genre appropriates Asian culture. Now here is Stellar Blade, an authentic slice of Korean cyberpunk, like Eve, beautiful and terrifying in its own absurd way. So, what do you think? Did you also find Eve's emotional journey compelling? How does it change your perspective on her character and the potential of video games in mental health recovery? Let's continue the conversation in the comments below. Thanks for watching and happy mindful gaming until the next video.